it. And I disagree with this, not with the shuyukh themselves, because these people are ulama of the deen. We do not challenge the ulama of the deen. Even if we come from a different understanding or a different methodology, we do not challenge the ulama of the deen. Rather, if we fail to understand anything, we find it within ourselves. Why do we not understand it? And we try to find the reason within ourselves. One particular sheikh has stated that the Dajjal is not a man, is not a Messiah who is going to come, but the television that we have, that is Dajjal. And this great phenomenon which is going about, which has overtaken so many young people's lives that they even forget to pray Surah Fatiha and Salat al-Fajr. The what? The one world order. And the Illuminati, and this great conspiracy theory, and everyone's against us, and Madonna sings the songs backwards or something. So what? So what? Akhal Kareem, how does that affect you? Rather, you should be the person who knows how to pray Salat al-Fajr properly, who knows the benefits of the 2 rak'atayn, the 2 sunnahs in Salat al-Fajr. You're not sleeping, and astaghfirullah, I hope this doesn't happen. You're not stoned out. You're not stoned or tripping to the extent where you don't even know it's time for Salat al-Fajr. Rather, you're clued up about your salah, about your zakah, about fasting in the month of Ramadan. You're on top of your studies. You know when to have a good time with your boys. You know when to chill out, yeah? But you know when to stop as well. And you know how to prioritize. And we spend so much time worrying about these conspiracy theories, we forget our own reality. What are the rules of Tajweed? Sahih? How do we recite the Quran properly? What do we know about the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? What do we know about his seerah? How old was he when the Quran was revealed upon him, alayhi salatu wassalam? What was the first ayah of the Quran? What is the mafhum? What is the meaning of the ayah of the Quran? Iqra, we all know this sahih, but what does Iqra actually mean? Recite, study, learn. Learn the deen. Learn it. طَلَبُ الْعِلْمُ فَرِيضَةٌ عَلَى كُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ. Learn the deen. But instead of learning the deen, we started learning and worrying about conspiracy theories and ilm. Next thing we know, 5-6 years have passed. And we spent so much time worrying about theories rather than the fact. Qiyamah is going to happen. The signs are emerging. The signs are in front of us. Don't dwell into the signs, rather dwell about your own standing on the day of Qiyamah. Worry about what you are going to do. If someone says everyone's against us and this and that, well, there's some truth in there, but what can you do? Don't expect to live a life with everyone to be your best friend. That's just silly, isn't it? No one's going to be your best mate forever. Nobody's going to love you forever. Nobody's going to agree with you with everything you say. That's just fitrah. That's just nature of mankind. Allah has made us like that. Even brothers amongst one another, some of you look at one another, Chairman, what's up with your hair? We say these things to one another. SubhanAllah, the sisters, when they look at one another sometimes, they laugh at each other's hijabs. What? What's that something? Hijab? That's a net. Wearing a net. Half your hair is popping out. That's not a hijab. So nobody will always agree with everything you do and say. But rather, let's stop worrying about the truth about our own lives. How do we prepare for Yawm al-Qiyamah? These signs are going to happen. Everything is going to happen. We start worrying about these theories and everything. So this sheikh has said that this is Dajjal, this one world order, and the dollar sign, and the one eye, and all of this, right? Chalo, theek hai. But look at what the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has stated. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the meaning of what he said, the emergence of the Masih, the false Messiah, Dajjal. From this we know that Dajjal is a man. He is not a theory, he is a fact. He will come. There will be, according to another narration, there will be 40 small Dajjals before the main one. Those 40 small ones, you can say that this is one of the small Dajjals, but it's not the Messiah himself. The one world order, blah blah blah. Yeah? Television, depending on what you watch. that is misleading you, that is clouding your mind, that is taking you away from the haqq, you are in a state of ghafla, in heedlessness. Because you actually believe everything you see. And you actually make, you know what the saddest thing is? We make time to watch Crib. You know that MTV Crib? We take time, we make up time to watch that. But we don't make enough time for Salat al-Maghrib. We make time to watch footy and how our whole world revolves around the reds and the blues. But we don't make enough time to read about the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our master, our leader. Sahih? How many of us know how many white hair he sallallahu alaihi wasallam had in his beard at the time of his passing? But then if we ask, what colour shirt does Rooney wear on a Wednesday? Yeah, I know. You even know how old he was when he kicked his first football. Ajib. Ajib shit. Wallahi, this is worrying. This is worrying. Our truth must be that we know the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the extent where if someone makes a misconception about him, a false statement about him, makes up a lie about him, we're able to stand with knowledge and wisdom, not with hatred and malice, with knowledge and wisdom, and penetrate the truth into their hearts. But rather than doing this, we'll stand there going, what did you say about the Prophet? What did you do? It's good to be passionate about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's good to get angry about him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What's detested is the negative reaction from that anger. That anger that you have, digest it and make it healthy. Speak to them about Hulyatul Sharif of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What he sallallahu alaihi wasallam looked like. What he sallallahu alaihi wasallam looked, how he sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to walk. How he spoke to Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu arda. Speak about the beauty of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the person hears about him and they say, this man you're speaking about, without seeing him, I'm in love with him. I want to be his follower. I want to be his follower. But we don't do this. We don't do this. Rather, we speak about things that are of no concern to us, but they become a priority in our lives. And the next thing we know, death is hanging on our shoulders. Death is hanging on our shoulders. Death overtakes us and we die. What have you prepared for Yawm al-Qiyamah? Seriously think, ayyuhal akhwatul muslimun, what have we prepared for 2012? I can guarantee you one thing. The world is not going to end in 2012. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the hadith which can be found in the Sahih of Imam Muslim and Ibn Majah in Bab al-Fitr, the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam stated the meaning of what he said. It would be a Friday. It will be the month of Muharram al-Haram. It will be the 10th of Muharram al-Haram. The time will be bayna al-Zuhri wal-Asri, between the times of Zuhr and Asr, and Qiyamah will come suddenly. The Sahabas then asked the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what is the sun? The year, the sun, the year. And Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that is not for you and me to know. Rather, we should be worried about what will happen after that. Once Qiyamah happens, what's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to us? Ayyuhal akhwatul muslimun, find it within yourself. Every single person here, inshallah, has iman within them. Sahih? We all have iman. Iman, as described by Shaykh Abdul Ghani al-Nablusi rahimahullah, is like a light. This light that exists within us, we need to kindle that fire, that flame that burns. And we need to spread that light within us. To the extent where even when we walk, when people see us, that light shines within us and they say, I want to know what that person's about. I want to know why lunchtime comes and brother Muhammad or sister Fawzia, they get up and they go and wash themselves and they leave everything and they lift their hands and they say, Allahu Akbar, and they leave everything and they stand before the Lord. Why do they do this? Do we have this within us? Are we able to do this? But rather, look, we're one community. Yes, I'm your Muslim brother. I'm your brother. I'm one of the boys, man. Yes? I'm your brother. I'm one of the boys. We can say to one another that we as Muslims, what do we have to offer a non-Muslim about the haqq, about the truth of the deen? What do we have within us? But rather, what we have within us, as that is state, is that we've got to the extent where Muslim looks at Muslim today with hatred. Muslim looks at Muslim today with negativity. Muslim looks at Muslim today with malice. This is our reality. What a sad state to be in. When the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned us, "La yu'minu ahadukum hatta yuhibbu li akhihi ma yuhibbu li nafsihi." None can claim to believe unless you love for your Muslim brother what you love for yourself. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned us that I do not fear shirk for my ummah. Rather, what I fear is that the ummah splitting within itself. We have become those people where Muslim looks at another Muslim and starts to think, is he one of ours? Or is she one of ours? This is what we've become. How are we going to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us, what did you do in the dunya? Are we going to say, Ya Rab, you know, there was fitna amongst the Muslims and I encouraged that fitna. I said to a group of Muslims that, you know, those lot, they're not ours, they're not true, they're not right. And then I went to them and said, you know what, they're not ours either. Because there's one thing they do that's not correct. And then there's those, and then you find, subhanAllah, that you're all alone. I give you one example about our reality. And this is all referring to the day of Qiyamah. Don't be baffled and think, what's this got to do with Qiyamah? On the day of Qiyamah, before your worship, in a Sahih Hadith, Mutawattir Hadith, before your worship, you are going to be asked about Huququl Ibad, the rights of Allah's slaves. How did you treat one another? Before Allah asks, did you worship me or not? Allah is going to ask, how did you treat my fellow slaves? How did you treat them? There was a brother who wanted to take Shahada last month. And he said, he was very, very confused. He knew that Allah is